Welcome to your Illini Nation pregame show. Derek Piper, Brett Behrens here, live from Indianapolis. We made it, dude.
We're freezing, but we're here.
It is cold out here as we are live before Illinois gets ready to play in the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2013. Derek, we've covered a lot of games. We've been to a lot of places around the country. And here we are, Illinois, ready to dance, finally, for the first time. We woke up this morning, what's kind of your thoughts, I guess, just in terms of being at this moment today? Like, they're playing in the NCAA tournament. It's weird to say it almost.
Yeah, it does. It puts a lot of things in perspective. The fact that it's been an 8-year drought, you finally have that snap. Of course, it was supposed to be snapped last year, but to finally get back, and not only that, you have a chance to go deep, make a really deep run. Illinois, one of the favorites. You see a lot of national experts, if not having them just in the title game, having them win it. So just the way that this team has been able to, under Brad Underwood, really surge here year 4 to be a title contender says a lot about him and his staff and what they've been able to do. And this team's on an absolute heater right now, a red-hot streak, 7 in a row, coming off the Big Ten tournament title. They've won 14 out of the last 15. They lost one game since mid-January.
January 16th. I mean, when you put that in perspective, and I was doing some research for our pregame show, or our back in the bracket show, rather. There's been a lot of shows here lately, right? All good. You know, and I started to look back, and you're like, man, I know we say 14 of 15, but when you put it in a date context for me, it's just, it hits differently in that sense that they've lost once since January 16th at home to Ohio State. And since that Ohio State game, Jacob Grandison goes in the starting lineup, and all of these things start to turn, and here we are. I mean, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And you think about all the tough tests that they had during that time. They go on the road to Ohio State, to Michigan, to Wisconsin, and then to run through a Big Ten tournament. We have to beat Iowa again. You beat Ohio State. And, yeah, like you said, a lot of things have changed since then. I know defense was an issue back in mid-January, and now they're really locking into that end of the floor. Jacob Grandison, as you mentioned, really emerging in a valuable role with his energy and just the little spurts. And I think that's just, in general, what this team is showing the role players. The supporting cast have gotten really, really strong. You have the balance, you have the depth. 6 players in double figures in that Ohio State game. So that's been exciting, the way that it's all surrounded Iowa and Kofi. You've been playing at a really high level throughout the season, but now it's just all the pieces clicking into place.
There are some fans here already kind of circling in. We are at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum, the site of today's game. Still a couple hours from game time. It's freezing out here, number one, because the wind is blowing. We are in the shade. The sun is not really set up for our shot here very well in terms of us having a successful shot. But you've got some fans here. They are freezing because they're not getting in anytime soon. I don't think the doors are going to open in 90 minutes, probably at the earliest, before might even be an hour. Expected, I was told 1,200 fans. I know we did the math on the max capacity, but the sports information director inside told me 1,200 fans are all that are going to be in there today. Derek's got a golden ticket to get in. So,
I do.
Yes, I look for his coverage all day on Illini Inquirer. Only 5 people got in, so WCIA will actually not be inside the building during the game, nor will any local television stations. Despite our best efforts to try and get in, that didn't happen. They gave it to the 5 riders, so we'll be watching outside in the car. But these fans today are going to get the chance to see the Illini play. At last check, Derek, and I don't know if there's still any tickets left, Tuesday, $6.50 was the lowest ticket on StubHub.
I saw that as well.
Now, no judgment here from me by any means, but there is zero chance I'm paying $6.50 to go to a basketball game on a 116 line.
I'm with you, man. I mean, if you have it to spend it, by all means.
And go for it if you've got it. But there's zero chance I'm spending that much money to see Illinois Drexel.
I might save that in my pocket, even at least for Illinois. You hope Illinois Loyola as far as storylines, maybe Illinois Oklahoma State Sweet 16. But hey, take nothing for granted, live in the moment, and
I guess
let's be there.
And this is only the 4th time fans are going to see this team play in person all season. You think of the 3 Big Ten tournament games, and those were obviously a lot of fun. You were there, right, in those moments. But this is, I mean, you know, potentially, what would that be? 3, 6, 9 games played all year with fans?
Yeah.
What do you expect today inside? Because have you been in yet?
I have not.
Okay.
Better idea than me.
Yeah, we got to go in on the TV side for just a few minutes to shoot some stand-ups and get some video. It's not big. It's small. What you would expect maybe Horizon, conference arena to be like. I think it's going to be really loud in there today. What was it like at the Big Ten tournament? And then how do you expect that to kind of translate today? Because I would expect to see mostly orange in there today.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the Big Ten tournament, the opposite of the venue as far as being
Right,
Lucas
yeah.
Oil and just having that monster of a building. But it maybe didn't look as far as compact with orange and blue fans because of the spaced out nature of just the big building. But the roar of the crowd was very evident and very impactful, I think, for the team as far as their momentum going on those runs. And outside of once Purdue was out against Ohio State, no one was matching Illinois and the fan base as far as just the environment and feeling like it was a home game. When it was Illinois-Ohio State in that final, it was a clear advantage. 5-1 as far as fans might have even been underselling it.
So I'm not putting too much stock into that, or you don't think we are in terms of how that helped this team?
I don't think so. I think you could even tell after some of those plays that they were playing to the crowd and they were feeling that emotion. You know, Georgie gets a couple of the N1s and the crowd's chanting Georgie, Georgie. Like that helps you. That obviously gives you a comfort level, gives you a motivation to push through. And maybe Illinois does. I don't know. Being back in the NCAA tournament, you're probably not in a sleepy spot. You're probably going to be up for this game. But if there was any of that, as far as any kind of Big Ten tournament hangover, I think these fans will push you through.
And it's cool. I mean, I try and think of the fan perspective sometimes, right? And I guess we're lucky and blessed in the sense of, like, we have got to go to these games, and it's been different without the fans. And I want the fans back because it provides a better environment. You know, you feel that buzz and the energy and all that. I know the players and coaches want that. But I try and put myself from a fan perspective a little bit and just thinking, what would it be like to have this, you know, great team that you love and root for and not get to see them, you know, when, like, that's such a big piece of people's lives for so many, right? Like, so I get the joy in that sense that so many fans are getting out of that. I'm just not sure I'm dropping $600 on Illinois Drexel. But if you got it, go for it. All right, we're not going to break down a ton of Drexel. Have you watched, I assume you maybe watched a couple of their games?
I watched their tournament final against Illini last night.
Okay. Any takeaways from that? I mean, if Illinois is down the stretch here with Drexel, there's bigger issues.
Yes.
So take that frame of reference, Derek. What do they do, or what can you tell us about the Dragons?
It starts with Cameron Winter at point guard. He averages about 17 and 5. Now he's not Dwayne Washington as far as the status and the
little different
and the scoring average and everything. But this guy can score. Like this guy can be a problem as far as putting him in the pick and roll, ability to pull up from the mid range. Trent Frazier, I'm sure, is going to want a bounce back performance. Didn't do a great job of holding Washington down. Now a lot of that credit is Washington just hitting tough shots and being on an insane heater there, but Winter makes it go for Drexel. And one thing that's really changed for them, because this was a team that you look back for much of their season, like they were below 500 in their conference back in early February. They were the 6th seed in their conference tournament. They've won 4 in a row, including 3 in that conference tournament. They've gotten red hot from 3. They've shot over 50% from beyond the arc their last 4 games, hit 41 threes during that span. So they're going to rely on the 3. That's usually the case when you have that smaller underdog trying to knock down the big giant here. So Illinois is going to have to make sure that they recognize who's some guys that we cannot allow any space at all and make sure to check them from the perimeter.
So guarding the perimeter, a big component for Illinois today. I wouldn't see that being a huge issue with Trent Frazier and Ayo Dosunmu and Andre Curbelo on that. For me, in a game like this, it's just about starting out well. I think if the 1 seed comes out and makes a statement early and really solidifies itself as we are the one here, we are the favorite, we are going to win this game, I think that completely changes it. If Illinois were to somehow come out slow and not start well, and you let them hang at half, or they're within 10 at half, I think that's where it starts to get a little problematic for me. So I'm looking for Illinois today to just start out strong, come out well, solidify their place as the big dog in this matchup, and then put them away early. And I think that is the key here, because you don't want a Virginia from a couple of years ago, and what a story that became, obviously winning the title the next year. But what about you? What are some keys for Illinois, you think, just for them that you want to see today as they start the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I think you make a great point as far as the quick start, because it really comes down to if the other team is able to build any kind of confidence and kind of that awareness of, hey, we could win this game
Right.
if you give them that opportunity. Anytime you're going to face a smaller conference team, you can assume, and it is correct, they're not going to have the size inside to deal with Kofi. James Butler is their starting center. He's 6'8", about 240, so he's giving up 4 inches and over 40 pounds to Kofi. You got to be able to go inside to him and allow him to eat, get on the offensive glass. If Illinois is going to miss a lot of shots, now Drexel is not a good defensive team. One thing they do well is score, but they don't get a lot of stops. So I think when you look at getting on the glass, scoring inside, and then also push the tempo, because one thing that Drexel does like to do offensively is play slow and methodical. They like to work deep into the shot clock. If Illinois can make them uncomfortable, make it a fast-paced game, and kind of just feel like that they're in control of the tempo, I think that could make Drexel uncomfortable.
And that's a good contrast to styles that Illinois wants to run no matter what. You know, if they can get out and really establish themselves as an up-and-down team right away, that I would have to think would make Drexel a little uncomfortable. Look, I don't know if they're non-con. I'm not expecting you to like list off who they might have played non-con, but I'm going to guess they've never seen a player like Kofi and any of these guys, you know. And if Kofi can come in and establish himself early on, I'm not sure you can feed him enough, you know, in a game like this. And even in the next round game, and I think that's going to be true all tournament long, because there's not many players like Kofi in the country that can do what he does, and really, you know, he's set apart in that sense. But against a lower level team, even a Loyola against Cameron Krutwig next week, and we can all hope that happens, right, on Sunday. Like, I hope we're standing here on Sunday talking, and it won't be here, that much we know. It'll be at a different venue. And it won't be at Hinkle because Loyola is playing there, Georgia Tech, today. So cross those two off if you're looking for tickets. No, Derek and I do not know the venue or the time yet for Sunday's game. We will pass that along when we find out, but that hasn't even been determined yet. But I don't think Kofi can get enough touches. Like, you know, the Big Ten, and maybe we don't play this enough. And I think it was Jeremy wrote a story on the site about Kofi and his presence, but like, we don't talk about him enough because we're just used to him. And the Big Ten schools know him. I think when we get out of the Big Ten grinder here, which we are now, obviously, into the NCAA tournament, Kofi's going to get a lot of love, I think, and he should for that.
Oh, absolutely. I was really glad to see him get second team All-American. He was very deserving, at least being on that list. You get on there, you have a chance to put your jersey in the rafters next to number 11, which is, of course, going to be up there as a first team All-American. Illini fans, it's going to come at some point as far as life after Kofi, and just kind of the jarring nature of how much that dude impacts, not only offensively. We look a lot about his scoring, his efficiency inside, his rebounding, defensively. As well as Illinois does there, it really funnels down to the post and Kofi and him making things difficult in the paint and not allowing not only big guys to score on him, but guards who go into the lane know that dude is there to contest my shot and be a factor. So there's no doubt about it. When you look at the mismatch, you got to feed him early and often. Expect Drexel to commit extra help, and that's when you make them pay by kicking it out to the outside. I think Kofi showed some in that Big Ten tournament. Now his assist numbers, we've kind of laughed at it all season long. He doesn't have very many of them, but there was at times he was looking for it to pass it out, and then of course you kind of just play off of that, and then also pick and roll game, Curbelo, Io, look for those lobs, look for those opportunities for easy baskets for him inside.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because I was watching from the station at the Big Ten tournament. I wasn't there. You were there with Marley and Andy, but I did notice a couple of kickouts, and I thought that was a little bit of an evolution in Kofi's game, and it didn't always work, right? I remember one specifically to Io on it was on the far side of the court, and I was like, Io, shoot it, because I think that's what you want, is a quick shot out of that. He didn't shoot it, and I don't remember if they scored on the possession or not, but I felt like we haven't seen that all year. And so for me, that was a next step for Kofi, to even just pass it out of the post. And it sounds so basic, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's foreign to him.
No, there's no doubt about it. I know that as far as the schooling and the coaching that Antigua has probably put in his ear, for the most part, I mean, if you have any one-on-one matchup, you take it. You take a big fella, you make your move, be confident, and allow it to happen. Even if there is a double team that maybe gets there late, still be aggressive and go do it. But when teams are starting to crash 2-3 guys in particular inside, which we've seen at times, he has to be able to make that play, have that awareness, know where the open guy is. Because you got shooters around the perimeter. You got DeMonte Williams shooting it still at an outstanding
56
clip.
or whatever it is.
Jeez, Trent Frazier, and then you kick it out and you can penetrate and just create another action out of it, maybe even repost and get the ball back inside. So that is another step for this offense, and it was encouraging to kind of see that just at least work through Kofi's mind.
And I know we don't talk about DeMonte enough. Like, we should talk about him more. It's incredible to me. I mean, the guy didn't score for a month last year. I've never heard of that.
No, not at all. Yeah, like you said, 9 straight Big Ten games without a point. I was doing some reflecting this week, thought back to the Maryland game last year. DeMonte hits 2 threes in the first 5 minutes, and Turgeon's like, what the heck is going on? Like, this doesn't happen. Ever since then, he's been above 50% three-point shooter. So, and not only that, he makes clutch ones. Like late in those games. It wasn't
they don't win the game against Ohio State without DeMonte.
Correct. And he hit a big one in Columbus, and then against the Buckeyes in the Big Ten tournament, he got into the lane, had that nice little turnaround hook shot. So his confidence is very, very high. We know that he rebounds, he defends. It's just kind of great to see because this was a guy that really struggled at that end for quite a while, and he had to have heard the fans talk about how much minutes he gets for not being a scoring threat, but right now he's playing really, really well.
And we heard Brad say all along that he knew it was in him. That was coach speak, at least to me. I never really believed that. I mean, if you don't score for a month, it's like, it's incredible. And yet he still just kept grinding it out. He still, at least from the outside, believed in himself and who he was and his role on the team. And I give him a ton of credit for that because, like you said, the outside noise was there all along from fans of why is this guy still playing, and yet he was able to overcome it and still do his thing is just remarkable to me. And you know what? On championship teams, it takes those players. Yes, in 05, you had D and Darren and Luther, and obviously Raj and James, but like there was other players on that you needed to be roles on that team. Like they don't go as far as they did in 05 if you don't have, Rich McBride and all the other players.
Jack Ingram.
And like Ingram had his moments, and we hear coaches say that, Derek, but like for me, at least working in the media and all, it kind of just is like, okay, whatever, like, it goes to the wayside a little bit because it is coach speak in one sense, but it's also true that you have to have those guys, and you have to have development too. And that's where I think of Andre Curbelo and I'm not sure that he gets enough love even from what we're talking, because you have your superstars and you have to have those superstars. Like this team is not here without Io or Kofi, obviously, but they're also not here without all these other guys around them as well.
Right, and when you have 2 All-Americans, that the defense most times is committing multiple defenders to them. When Io's going downhill, there are maybe all eyes on him, if not 2 defenders heading his way. When Kofi has the ball inside, as we talked about, he's commanding extra attention. So that just presents very, very good opportunities for those other guys to be able to get open looks, to have driving lanes. And it may, when you look at the stats and you see DeMonte, he's not averaging double figures or anything like that, or even you look at a Grandison.
Right.
But what I've noticed here recently is just piecing together, okay, this is a spot where DeMonte's going to hit a couple threes, then Trent's going to step up, then Grandison's going to make a couple of plays. And all that adds up to the very end when if Io and Kofi have Io and Kofi types of days and then the other guys are just giving you something, it's a really hard team to beat.
And I think that's why so many people nationally even now, and I've seen the brackets start to come out, people posting them, Illinois is a popular pick to win it all right now. Gonzaga, Illinois in the finals, I'm here for that. Let's make that happen. But I've seen quite a few national people picking Illinois, and I think that's fair, and I think it's warranted at this point because they have so many weapons. And yes, Gonzaga has a ton, right? And they've got Timmy and Kispert, and their lineup is loaded. And Baylor is very good as well. I feel like maybe they've taken a little step back and losing in the Big 12 semifinals since they've come back from COVID. But we're here, man. I'm ready for it.
I can't blame anybody for taking the Illini. That's not just us coming from a perspective of covering this team all year. I know Gonzaga hasn't lost, but no one is playing at the level that Illinois is as far as heading into that tournament. The teams that they've beaten, the way that they've looked, they're the hottest team right now, in my opinion, as far as heading into this tournament.
And you can't say the hottest team because Gonzaga hasn't lost, right? But
sure.
When you take the quality of opponents, and I know that's Gonzaga's knock, look, it's not their fault, they play in the conference they do, but it's when I look at it, I'm with you, hey, this is the best team in the country in the last month of the season with all of their wins. I mean, you think about Drexel today, they have 12 wins this season. They're 12-7. Illinois won 19 Big Ten games if you count the Big Ten tournament, right?
Yeah.
Illinois has 12 quad 1 wins. Drexel has none. So their quad 1 wins are Drexel's entire season. Isn't that crazy? I mean, that puts it in perspective for me, at least, to say the disparity between these two teams today.
Yeah, and it also talks about a team that's really battle-tested. A team
Right.
to get quad one wins, you got to beaten a lot of really good people. I think that bodes well for Illinois as far as any challenge they're going to run up against. If they were to meet up, obviously against Baylor, a quad one game they did not get, but it's the team that they have seen. So this team is not going to be thrown off by anything as far as what they see in an opponent. Clearly not Drexel, but even down the line, as again, I'll mention Oklahoma State. I'm just kind of trying to will that one into existence. I think that's just a really sexy
Can
matchup.
we get that? Can we get Loyola and Oklahoma State too? Like,
yeah.
What a couple of weeks that would be here.
But yeah, I mean, this team, again, they're red hot. They've beaten a lot of people. You should feel as good as anybody. I mean, the only argument, I know that you could talk about turnovers, maybe Kofi foul trouble or missed free throws out of him.
Yeah.
The one thing that I look at, and I don't want to speak this into existence, the only thing I can see is really a team, did they peak too early?
Yeah, and if they'd lost maybe in the Big Ten tournament first round or something, I know we had both said that Rutgers game was going to be tough, and then it wasn't, right? Like a blowout. I think maybe I could question that a little bit more if they had lost early in the Big Ten tournament. But the fact that they won the whole thing shows me that they're still on the climb.
Correct.
And for that, that's why I picked Illinois to win it all in my bracket. And, do I think it's going to be a close race here? Is there going to be games along the way that I think they're going to be tested? Yes. Do I expect that today? No. But, there's no argument for me. I mean, they are one of the best teams in the country. And it's also, just weird sometimes to even say that and think about that. And even here to know where we're at today, they've won 14 out of 15, yes, and they've got all this national love. But I don't know about you, but it's still are we really here? Because I've been stuck in March since last year. Maybe it's today that it'll start to turn the page, and that sounds really shallow, and I'm not taking anything away from COVID-19 or whatever else, but a lot of my world revolves around sports and working in it. And I'm just ready to turn that page to get to a point today where there's all these fans here, and we take a look behind us and the crowd is starting to file in here and get in line. It's maybe that'll hit today, for me, and I'm just talking out loud here in a sense, but can we start to move forward in this, because if we've been in this proverbial rut since last March when there was no tournament, it's going to get warm, right? And the vaccines are coming, and so many people have already been vaccinated, and let's take that next step.
Yeah, I think it's another sign of optimism, another reason, and we're all looking for it, and we hope for the best. But I agree with you, even in terms of basketball. No matter what this team has accomplished this season, we've been looking for this moment, for that kind of redemption or just the prove-it nature of the tournament. Because in reality, I mean, we'll look back on this no matter where they finish and say, look, they had a special run. I guess special was probably determined on them doing something really
it was a historic season. It was that much we can say. No matter even if they lose today, it's historic for the wrong reason. But winning a Big Ten title is historic.
You're right, and you'll put a banner up for that, absolutely.
100%.
But this team now has a chance to really achieve more. I know Iowa continues to say we're not satisfied. We got a lot more to do, and this can really cement their legacy in Illini basketball history if they continue it, get to the Final Four, and maybe even beyond.
Only a couple Final Fours in school history. It's pretty remarkable that we're here, and this team is here for everything that it has gone through and come to, and all the talk and some of it hyperbole, some of it, warranted, and now we can talk about a game, and we're here in the NCAA tournament. We'll be covering it all along the way. Derek and I will have pregame shows before every NCAA tournament game. We hope that 6 of them would be to the Final Four at Lucas Oil Stadium.
5 of them in the sun.
Yeah, right. Maybe next time we'll be in the sun, or it'll just be a little warmer because it is March, and we don't need to be sitting here freezing. But we're happy to do it, to bring this digital-only online coverage to you. Derek, what do you think today? I think the spread's 22.5. Let's just call it a convincing win. Does Illinois come out and win by 20-plus points?
I think they do.
Yeah.
I think Kofi dominates. I think that they continue to stay dialed in, locked in, and they ultimately run up and down and run Drexel off the floor. I think it's 91-66. Illinois gets it done.
They are letting the people in. We'll step out of the way here so you can see. Let the people in, Derek, including you. You are a little cold, ready to go inside. So that's going to wrap it up from the Your Illini Nation pregame show. Thanks so much for watching. For Derek, I'm Brett. We'll do it again Sunday if they win, and we're not going to put anything out there, but they're going to win today. I think they do even hit 90, like you said. I'm going to say 94 to 68. How about that? I think they come out and get the convincing win. They set the tone early, and they're able to do it. So for Derek, I'm Brett. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again Sunday. We don't know a time and location yet. That's what everyone wants to know for tickets, but when we do, we will pass it along. Enjoy the game. Follow Derek's coverage online on Illini Inquirer on his Twitter feed as well. He's one of the lucky 5 that get a ticket. Derek, I'll be watching from the car, but enjoy the game, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time right here on the Your Illini Nation pregame show.